January 1st, 1863, Abraham Lincoln declared freedom of all slaves in America. After the Civil War, some Confederate states, primarily Texas, refused to share this information with their slaves and kept them in bondage for another 2 years. But on June 19, 1865, the federal government stepped in and the Army enforced this law, informing all slaves of their freedom. Then known as Jubilee Day, now known as Juneteenth. This momentous and glorious occasion holds a very special place in my heart. I am only 4 generations removed from slavery. My great-great-grandmother was the oldest living slave in New Orleans. She remembers being born on the shores of Africa and being brought as a slave to America at age 9 years old with her mother, her father, and her 3 sisters. At the age of 100, in 1948, she was interviewed about her life. 1948, that's the year my dad was born. I am not that far removed from slavery. Growing up, my parents made sure that I knew where I came from and I knew my Black history. And thinking about my great-great-grandmother, Teresa, she was in her 20s when she found out about being free, when she found out she was no longer a slave. Thinking about the rejoicing that she probably felt, the freedom that she felt during that time, to know that she was finally truly free, having been born a free woman, taken into slavery, and now made free again. I feel so much that is truly powerful. I can see her face, the article with the interview that was done with her. I can see her face and I can almost picture the smile on her face finding out about her freedom. As a speech language pathologist, I help people communicate every day. And thinking about this event that took place 157 years ago and where we are now, I see that there's a pattern of a lack of communication. Active listening has 6 key components: paying attention, withholding judgment, reflecting, clarifying, summarizing, and sharing. And it's easy to see where there was a breakdown 157 years ago. But the pattern that I'm also seeing with the breakdown in communication now is that Black people are sending a message quite clearly. We want to stop dying. We want to end injustice. We want to feel equal. We want to end systemic racism. These are some of the messages that we are communicating seemingly quite clearly, but we're not being heard. We shared this information verbally. We then passed this message on through protests, even through riots. And any communicator knows that when you're not understood one way, you change the way that you share this information or express yourself so that you can be understood. As Black people, we are sharing that we want these things to end. Systematic racism, injustice, inequality, Black people being killed for no reason. These things need to end. We've shared this information in several different ways, but it seems like there is a problem with active listening with our white counterparts. In legislation, in law enforcement, even friends and family. I ask that if you're listening today, that you will implement these 6 steps of active listening. Pay attention to what we're saying, what's happening around us, what's happening around you. Pay attention. Please be non-judgmental. If you need clarification, ask an African American, a Black person, to share their experience. There's also Google. Inform yourself. Reflect on this information that you've been shared with. Summarize it in your head. Take it in, what's being shared with you. And then it is your responsibility to then pass on this information and share it with others. This can change. Our ancestors were made free 157 years ago, and we would like to feel completely free. Please help us by implementing these 6 steps of active listening so that we can communicate effectively with each other and there can be a change in our society. Thank you for listening, and may the tips be with you.